Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the L1 show. Today is November 11th, 2024, and nothing happened this week. That's it.
Well, if you look at the news story count, it does play out that way because it seems like something else dominated the news cycle for the entire week.
We have some new merchandise.
Oh, yeah. If you need something to drink out of in public, get your merch here.
Or you could use it in private.
Including the teaching Santa think. We know you don't have any friends, it's fine. But these are perfectly reasonable travel mugs.
They have us, links with friends.
They have the sippy cup on top in case you're a toddler.
Or in case you're me and you just, spaz out every now and then and throw your cup.
I'm actually kind of excited about these because I'm an open container. I put tea or coffee just in a mug and then drive around and then I get it all over me. So now I need the sippy.
This reminds me of, you remember the camping cups, the metal camping cups from the 80s?
Yeah, the blue ones.
Except this is hollow. So
yeah, these are not enamel.
A better thermal insulation. But it reminds me of cups from the 80s.
Store.level1text.com.
Everything old is new again.
It is. Hey, gold and wood accents on computer cases is the new hotness. That's the 70s.
Election results? That was the last time that happened, too. Well, let's talk about the government and some things that they did that didn't have to do with that this week. And first, let's talk about new power, because we've learned that now we need a better...
I put my phone on silent. I was like, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to be the one to forget.
They won't stop. They're relentless. Yes, power infrastructure when we have inclement weather and the people need it? No. That's like the Drake meme. No, don't give me that. Power when Amazon needs it? Yes, except we have some people, some checks and balances to say that, well, should we just give Amazon whatever they want?
U.S. regulator rejects bid to boost nuclear power to Amazon data center. This seems like it was a technicality, and you dig into this, and there's a lot of really head-scratching things in here, but this was a 2-to-1 FREC rejection, and they said, we don't think it's reasonable for a commercial customer of the data center to bypass the grid and connect directly to the nuclear power generation, because I think, and this article does a terrible job writing this up, they reasoned that then the data center is kind of competing with the grid for power, and so the nuclear generator can say, we can sell our power to the data center at a higher rate than we can sell it to individuals, so there's a disincentive to sell power to the individuals, to the grid.
And if you have to do like a brownout or something, who goes first?
Not the data center, I'll tell you that.
So yeah, that might be a pretty good rule. There were also a couple of them that abstained, so they weren't willing to say no to Amazon.
They were just waiting to get their pockets lined before.
I don't understand. So in the write-ups from this, there's a lot of articles and quotes from these people because this is scrutinized because, big business. I don't understand why you wouldn't sell it to the grid and just say, Amazon, you can do this, but the grid ultimately has control. You don't have control. It's not a direct transaction between you and the nuclear power. And then it would be up to the grid, and the grid is not going to care as much, or the grid is going to say, no, we have to keep the old folks home operational for the brownout, but the data center is going to have to lose some of its power. Because data centers should be built with redundant power in mind.
Because you would have to enhance grid capacity commensurately, right? Rather than just a hard line. Because they bought the thing next to it.
Yeah. I mean, you could still have, I don't know how that works.
I think you would have to spend money making the infrastructure big enough to handle double the capacity, right? There's probably some rules about that.
How much money does that really save, though?
For Amazon over time, I bet it's a lot. And we are, we're chipless here in the United States. Our chip maker is Intel.
Chipless.
And we need more chips, and we've been trying to bring them in. It's not been super effective thus far.
U.S. plans $825 million investment for New York semiconductor R&D facility. This is Global Foundries, Albany, well, not really Global Foundries, but there's a lot going on in Albany, New York with IBM, and you've got Global Foundries, and you've got a whole bunch of other stuff. And IBM's it's educational and research. IBM's fabs are nice. I was really surprised that Intel wanted to put their thing in Ohio and not New York. I've been there. It's great.
So that's chips money, which Intel says is not coming fast enough.
Yeah, they do seem to be struggling. They did reinstate free coffee today.
I saw that. Did we put that in here?
We did not.
That was another thing. They were like, we realized people didn't like not being caffeinated at work.
Take your drugs, peons.
Yeah.
Take your productivity drugs.
We've never not had free coffee and fruit at the office, and that's just like, how can you not have free coffee and fruit at the office? What sort of barbarism is that?
Now, you might be feeling pretty good about Elon Musk right now, or you might be furious at him. Probably one or the other. It's pretty much a line in the middle, right? But if you do celebrate him for putting things in space economically and for catching that rocket, hey, that was impressive, right? But remember that he will take anybody's money, and it's not always good. Now, this could be good for America, but I have a feeling that a couple of these are pointed at me.
NRO Chief, you can't hide from our new swarm of SpaceX-built spy satellites.
You know how I'm afraid of black holes? You're afraid of the swarm of spy satellites.
This
My
is
fear's
amazing.
a little more realistic than yours.
This guy is just like, yeah, they can launch rockets so quickly. Like, we don't even have to have properly working spy satellites. We could just throw them up there like confetti. It's basically what he's saying.
And there's more coming.
Which I thought was amazing. And also surprisingly candid. It's like, wait, was that out loud? Was that my internal monologue? Like,
Space pollution, light pollution, who cares? We need to spy on people.
there was also the leaked call. I don't know. It might be a deep fake, but there was supposedly a leaked call where engineers were talking amongst themselves about the catch, where Elon Musk caught the rocket, and it seemed like in the context of that call, this is probably like propaganda, so don't listen to it. But the context of that call was, wow, everything went wrong. We only got lucky that the rocket landed successfully. It was just.
No, he said it himself. He said they were seconds away from trying to just not destroy the pad. They were ready to push the button.
Task failed successfully.
And it worked. And like I say, we're chipless. We only have Intel here in this country, and we're kind of depending on them. But the leadership, they fumbled a few things. So what are we going to do? Has it been long enough that our collective memory has forgotten 2008?
Is Intel too big to fail? U.S. officials are considering government intervention. I want you to search and replace Intel for Boeing in this article.
Well, they mentioned Boeing in this article.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've got a replacement for Boeing.
We get, if AMD had onshore fabs that were leading edge, like TSMC Arizona, I mean, that's kind of a thing. That could work, right? Right?
Not so far.
Right. Well, no, Arizona fab, their yields are on par with Taiwan, which has surprised everybody, even the Americans.
So, yeah, this is more chips money, but it's not soon enough and not enough, according to Intel. They're still a little worried. And if
Their coffee costs are just through the roof.
If they fail, they could get acquired by someone outside of the country. We would probably have to try to stop that. It's not a good situation.
I noticed Pat Gelsinger also bought like 21,000 shares this week, so he thinks they've hit rock bottom.
Or he's desperate for the market to think that. And Google is, if you've ever actually had a conversation with the scammers, one of the things that they're going to ask you for is gift cards. Sometimes Google, sometimes Apple, sometimes, whatever, PlayStation Store. But they want gift cards, which is weird because it's always like, hey, I'm from Social Security and I need a gift card. But people fall for it.
Are you my nephew?
Yeah, people are that dumb, and when they do something that dumb, they try to sue about it.
Google has no duty to refund gift card scam victims, judge finds.
Which, yeah. You should know better than that. Come on. And China has just been hacking their little hearts out during the election, it seems. We found out that the entire Trump team apparently was infiltrated. Probably the other side too, we just didn't find out about it. And now the government agencies are just saying, we were giving up. Just assume you're being hacked.
U.S. agency warns employees about phone use amid ongoing China hack. Listen, as long as the money printers are going burr, I think we can kill 3 or 4 birds with one stone here. This article is the poster child you should put up on your wall for why we should not have Snoopers Charter in the UK, why we shouldn't build backdoors into encryption, why all of that. Number 2 on that same wall, remember the article we did a couple of weeks ago about the old public switch telephone network, like the backdoors in it that are used for lawful wiretaps being compromised? Those are Exhibit A and B for why we should as a top-down directive, re-secure our infrastructure and our operating systems, and think about compartmentalization, encrypted virtualization in the context of a phone. Like, why did we not do that?
That was not their recommendation. Their recommendation was to use highly secure software, Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, remind me again what happened with, like, Microsoft wasn't even doing security logging, and we had the story last week about them losing 40 terabytes of security logs. Oops, accidentally, it's all gone.
Teams is a great piece of software. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think the future defense is, your personal information defense is distributed and encrypted, and you have your own keys, and there's no key escrow. Sorry, like, our audience could be the people that make it happen. Like, they're like, we can get together. Like, we could do this.
Well, you can't do that because you would be going up against this, because that would also destroy this, and that would make these people very upset.
Meta discloses federal probe into its use of financial data for ads. The amazing thing about this, start at the beginning. Meta was running ads. And Meta knows who you are, but they don't necessarily know information about your purchases and your bank account. But that's something they can buy. So they did. And they added it to your profile. And then they used that to advertise to you. And it was so blatant and on the nose, it upset some people, which led to that. And the remedy seems to be not, we shouldn't offer for sale that kind of data, or that data should be protected by federal law. The solution was, don't be so on the nose with it.
And you're going to pay us a fine.
Which is concerning.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take your money that you stole from the people, and then we're going to further steal that from the people, and then you can do this again. And it's a beautiful cycle. Oh, here it is, the jug.
The jug.
Yeah, well, no, this is the bot. This is not what I make. But I will recycle these jugs sometimes.
Microplastics.
Yeah.
Every recycle you get extra microplastics.
Do you know they're doing stainless steel plumbing now? Like,
Who can afford that?
We're just, well, yeah, exactly. But it's like, I don't want microplastics. It's like, you can get some really incredible stainless steel plumbing.
I bet Zuckerberg's bunker has that.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Talk about, like, 3rd century plumbing. That's nice.
Well, Meta is not just stealing our ads. They are also working on artificial intelligence, and they're looking to sell that artificial intelligence to anybody who will take it. Literally anybody, even, the people who are killing everybody.
The Verge's headline is Meta AI is ready for war, but when you dig into this, you find out that all they're talking about is some randos in China downloaded Llama 2. Llama 2 is old news. It's like a tube television at this point in the AI timeline. No one cares.
It's an ancient llama holding a gun.
Now, they mentioned that, but this is not. The point of the article is that they've changed the acceptable use policy. They don't want it to be directly in, like, the rockets or anything, but...
That's bad for PR.
Yeah, the military can use it for, like, logistics and whatever, paperwork.
It is funny that the use policy warns them, again, it's like, don't use this for killing people because it will make mistakes and hallucinate.
But you want
it's okay.
For logistics, which is like armies march on their stomachs? That's crazy.
My apologies if it accidentally orders extra barrels of barbecue sauce.
Or dramatically underestimates how much humans actually need to eat.
And the Digital Markets Act was EU's big, ultimate showdown with the big tech companies. And the teeth in this thing is the amount. Was it 10% of your global turnover? It's big numbers. They have never used it yet, but it seems like maybe the first victim might be the fruit.
Apple reportedly facing its first ever EU fine over App Store rules, meaning that the Digital Markets Act is coming for Apple because Apple is anti-competitive,
They estimate,
demonstrably.
Nobody said any numbers yet, but if they went all the way, it's like...
14.4 billion?
Yeah, it's a huge number.
Off of, like, the violation for a flashlight app or something like that.
Well, this was Spotify, right? Spotify argued, hey, they're not letting us let people sign up on the website. You remember how they promised they would do that? And so this is...
Isn't it fun, though, that Spotify's market cap is nowhere near 14 billion, right? Like, they don't make... It would take them a lifetime to make that much money.
Well, we're not talking about their market cap.
Well, I mean, just like... We're finding Apple a disproportionate amount of money to try to discourage their bad behavior, but
I think that was the idea, right?
Apple doesn't care.
I think 34 billion will make somebody care.
Yeah.
And the Royal Navy has some new. What we've learned about modern warfare with drones and such is that you have to have countermeasures. You have to be blocking every kind of radio signal. You have to be blocking GPS, or a drone will kill you. So now we have to come up with something else.
Royal Navy successfully tests quantum sensing technology. So these are sensors that use lasers to super cool atoms, which sounds super cool. And so they imply that they could use satellites to detect submarines, I guess, moving through the water due to minute distortions in magnetic fields.
Slows down the movement of the atoms. Somehow that contributes to tracking.
They put some of these sensors on submarines as well to detect other submarines, which I guess is, the big deal.
They're going to open up a black hole in the ocean.
Yeah, with a nuclear weapon.
But that'll be great because when global warming happens and the oceans start to rise, it'll just suck all the water down.
It's just a small one, just for a couple of seconds. And South Korea is also upset at Meta for exactly the same thing that everybody else is upset with them over.
South Korea fines Meta $15 million for illegally collecting information on Facebook users.
And Facebook will pay it and continue to illegally collect information on Facebook users.
This was a lot of the no-nos, gender, sexuality, a couple of other things that are protected. And they were blatantly tracking those things and letting you sell ads based on them, which we've seen for a decade at this point. And Samsung, boy, it's a tough year when your tax base goes down because the company that runs your country doesn't have to pay taxes.
Samsung pays no corporate tax for the first time in 52 years. And this is because the staggering losses are stacking up. The article didn't really talk much about it, but it seems like their foundry was struggling a little bit. And, flash memory prices being somewhat depressed at the moment and having to spin up new nodes. Everybody wants faster flash. Samsung's facing a lot of problems.
So they had a huge loss, and 11 trillion won, not $11 trillion. I don't know what the conversion is, but when you lose money, you don't pay taxes. That was the big Trump thing. They were like, Trump doesn't pay taxes. Look, yeah, he did a terrible job one year. He lost a ton of money.
All years. Did a terrible job. All years.
And Singapore, they make this sound good. And I guess it is kind of good because they got a little tiny island. Not everybody can have a car. It's $10,000 a year to get past this.
Singapore to increase road capacity by tracking all vehicles with GPS.
So they have gantries, which I guess means they move, right? So think about like a toll booth that drives around.
Ugh.
And they try to control traffic by moving the toll booths. Now there will be no more toll booths. It'll be GPS tracking. And it'll be like rush pricing from Uber. Like, oh, you want to drive on this road today? Here's what it costs today. And they'll automatically just deduct it. And I made it sound like it was $10,000 to not have to do this. No, it's $10,000 a year to drive a car in Singapore.
Wow.
On top of the price of the car.
Better hope the mass transit system is fully operational.
I mean, it's a major city, I would assume. It's probably better than where we are, but...
Well, I imagine it's just a sea of scooters and motorcycles, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
That's what a lot of those places are like. And India, they don't like the fact that people can go in and edit the Wikipedia articles because the Indian government can get criticized. And they have been severely criticized. And they've decided to do something about it.
Wikipedia says it hasn't received notice over its alleged bias concerns from India. So this is like the second part of a he said, she said. In the first part that the headline leaves out, talks about how India said, we're going to have to crack down on Wikipedia. It's saying unkind things, and Wikipedia has asked for clarification. And this makes it seem like India sort of knows that in the global stage, it would be frowned upon to ask for this certain kinds of information to be removed, which suggests that something shady's going on here.
Definitely feels shady. And this one is probably propaganda. But
it was a fun, lighthearted story before things got really crazy later in the week.
But there's probably some truth to it as well. What I would like to see are some reaction videos. If you're fresh out of North Korea and you've never experienced the internet and you get to for the first time, I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
North Korean troops have been allowed to access the internet, and they're addicted to
Memes.
things I don't want to say because of the algorithm. For 200, Alex or Ken.
Oh yeah, Ken now.
Engagement challenge. What do you think their favorite category is?
We're gonna get demonetized because we're gonna have terrible category names in the comments.
There's probably going to be some amazing book. Like somebody is going to go through something and have some sort of personal epiphany and write a book about it. And then it's just like, I realized I was no different than that monkey that I watched in the video that had a thing wired up to his brain where he just pressed the button all day. And then that's all the existence became about.
Isn't that more us than them, though?
Yeah. That's why it would be popular in Western circles.
And here's an interesting one from Canada where they're kind of banning
This was
TikTok,
bizarre. I
but
didn't understand
not
this.
at all. Yeah, I don't know what the...
What's the game here?
Yeah.
Trudeau government bans TikTok from operating in Canada, but Canadians can still access the app.
It sounds like this was a layoff.
They had opened the offices.
Yeah.
Forced layoffs.
Didn't they demand that?
Yeah.
Because you have to have the office to have accountability in
And
the country.
They looked at what they were doing and was like, oh, we don't want this here. But it's the internet. It's like, we're not going to censor the internet. It's like, okay, weird.
We don't want to have to pay all the people that are in this office, so we're just going to quietly get rid of it. That's what I read.
That's amazing.
I don't think that's maybe how they wanted it to be read, but that's how I read it.
You should force everybody working in that office to read like old philosophers like Socrates.
And Australia is actually doing it, and we always have to give you the disclaimer that this is actually about getting a system of online identity confirmation. Mm-hmm. This is to make sure that they know who you are when you're on the internet posting things. This doesn't have as much to do with the children, I would estimate.
Australia proposes a world-leading ban on social media for children under 16.
I'm fine with keeping kids off social media, but like the actual way of implementing it means everybody who accesses the internet has to have an ID.
Which they're exploring both a national ID card that you have to prove that you're over 16 and biometrics on the device to prove that you're over 16.
You think in like 10, 15 years, like tales about Anonymous from like way back in the day, it's like people could just get on a forum and just post whatever and they didn't have a real name? Like,
you remember how parents used to buy domain names for their kids and it's like, oh, I'm going to hang on to this for when my kids grow up? Now it's like, oh, so-and-so was born. I went ahead and created, 17 fake online identities so they would all be of age by the time they were coming of age so that they could go online without actually giving up their real identity.
They could have their right to shitpost on the internet, as we should all have.
Anonymously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
What a dark timeline.
And people are, a lot of people upset with Elon Musk, obviously, after this week. And the exodus from Twitter continues. It seems that Blue Sky got some of those, but also we now have this man claiming a new milestone.
Meta's Threads microblogging app now has 275 million monthly users, Zuckerberg says. It does seem to be really active. I know someone that has been posting technical content there. And... the engagement is surprisingly high.
There's part of me that's like, I'm just not interested in social media anymore. I mean, I still like to find the memes and stuff like that, but
you don't have to participate.
Yeah, I don't want to participate.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth participating as much anymore.
It's like if you drive by and you see two stray animals having sex on the side of the road, like you'll take a look at that, but you don't want to be involved.
You don't want to be involved.
I'll look at the spectacle, but I decline to participate. It's modern politics as well.
And remember Cambridge Analytica? Oh, it seems like a lifetime ago. But it wasn't that long ago that our privacy was just perused for monetary value. But it has been long enough, it seems, in the court system for people to be like, nah, that wasn't a big deal.
Facebook asks the U.S. Supreme Court to dismiss fraud suit over Cambridge Analytica scandal.
The Supreme Court doesn't decide until June about this, but they were kind of back and forth. It wasn't a unanimous...
They posted part of their argument in this article, and it was like the most just legalese, like arguing about like the intent of a singular word in one of the statements, and I was like, oh.
See, I thought that what they had said so far, they had telegraphed their intent to say yes, Facebook is not liable. They just that it was more of a performance piece. Like, oh, maybe there is some debate here, but the reality is no. The Supreme Court believes that companies don't have any proviso to contribute to the public good anymore. And that was perhaps the best argument here. Is like, this is bad for people. We shouldn't do this.
Well, guess what? Everybody's still doing it. It's actually worse than ever.
Yeah, like randos can amass huge amounts of information easily.
And Roblox. Oh, Roblox, they got exposed for some very bad things, and they are working, I guess, to fix those things, but week after week, they don't do enough. So we have to come back on the next week and do more.
Roblox is banning kids from unrated experiences and social hangout spaces in an effort to protect them from pedophiles.
Probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't have said that. Roblox, so unrated experiences, they're talking about mods, but also...
No, because you can create... Yeah.
They monetize
Sandbox.
the whole modding system, so kids can... But then you can have people posing as kids making experiences, and then that's where it gets dark fast. But also the children are monsters. So there was another study that this doesn't talk about where they were like, oh, let's get some psychologists in here and study what the kids are doing. And it was dark. It was very dark.
You walk into any elementary school, you're going to know that, right?
Children have to learn not to be monsters?
They have to learn to put on the social mask. They have to pretend, right?
I'm not as familiar with Roblox, but I wonder if it's probably worse than Gmod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
way worse.
Yeah.
Way more popular is the thing, right? There's lots and lots of
much
kids
broader demographic, perhaps, than Gmod.
It's like the worst, darkest, just...
Now, the PC Gamer writer pointed out, it was like, oh, well, what we really need to do here is actually keep the adults off of this site, which makes a lot of sense. But that always goes back to the Australian thing, right? How do you figure out who's an adult and who's a child?
Yeah.
So we have to have IDs, digital IDs.
If you put LOL at the end of every sentence, you're a millennial, you're cut off.
I'm going to use some different words than the words that were used in the video, and I don't know if this is real or not, but I saw a video from... They sounded like they were 9 or 10, and they said, look, I've recreated the ovens from World War II Germany. And it was just like, and it was Roblox. It was just like, oh my God. Oh, this is dark.
Where do they find the specs for that?
Apparently, there was a forum.
At 10, have you even done that unit in your history class yet?
Well, you've got... You can talk to ChatGPT about it.
Oh, man.
Oh, we're going back to... And you are just...
Hitting the tea hard.
Caffeine right
My
now.
kidneys must be punished.
Just, you heard the story about the Roblox kids, and you're like, I got to drink more tea about this.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of... It's just... I mean, they were... Because it was just like, hey, guys, wow, look at this amazing thing that I found. And it was like, oh, it's some kid that's proud of his, like, Redstone equivalent. No, it was bad. It was really bad.
I mean, it's not bad technically, right? Like, it's history. We should be able to learn about it.
Oh, right. But usually, like, at least in the context, like, I didn't learn about it till I was a little bit older, and, like, you had whole, like, units about it where it was kind of explained about, like, why this is not good.
Yeah,
but, the gleefulness was worrying.
But think about the reality of the modern child, right? You can't have your little innocence window when there is an Adobe file format literally in your little thing. we got to educate the kids sooner. I'm sorry, their innocence has to be sacrificed.
Yeah, I get it, because I was not a teenager when I went to a pizza party with people that I had met online, and I didn't find it awkward, but everybody there was very awkward.
Yeah, because they were like, this is a child.
Yeah. But that's the correct response.
That is the correct response,
The wrong response is the Roblox response. So it's like, oh.
Oh, there's a kid here. Like, oh.
What's your name?
Anyway, well, buy our stuff. We'll really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.